Hey guys, Rexasaur here and welcome to Update Monday on the 23rd of December 2024. Hello, it's nearly the end of the year, we've got 2 more Mondays. Today is an auspicious day as it is the day that the boiler man comes to check my boiler. What a great day. I'm also working from home all of today, which is why this is being recorded early and will probably be uploaded earlier than it usually is, although who knows these things. It's been a week. It has been a week. A lot happened last week, and a lot of it wasn't... Well, it was fairly exciting, but it wasn't like super incredible. This is where that position there is where my calendar is. That is why I keep looking that way, because it reminds me what I've done. What happened last week? I went into the office 4 times, so I didn't have to go into the office once this week, so that's something. What else happened last week? Let's go for it. Monday, not much. Yeah, actually, some stuff happened. There's a lot of things that happened. Let's just discuss things as they come to my mind, and I'm going to finish with a big explanation of something. First things first, last week was a week where my good friend Richard was going to battle someone who wasn't me in Warhammer the Old World, and that happened on Saturday. I don't know how it went, other than he had a good time and he learned some stuff, but I'm very excited to find out how the actual battle went. So basically we're just discussing just general Warhammer stuff, and it was good. And yeah, I'm really happy that he went out of his comfort zone and just had a fight with somebody he didn't really had a battle with someone that he didn't know before, and I'm just really happy that I was able to get him into the hobby and he's really embraced it fully. I go to Warhammer Club every week, or mostly every week, so I'm used to that, of battling people that I've never spoken to, and just having the hobby sort of keep us together. So yeah, it's really nice to see that happen. I got him some models for Christmas, which he got early and has already painted up, so it's like, okay, calm down, dude. But I'm excited to see them on the battlefield when I go up against him on Sunday, which is where I will be attacking his big force. I don't know how I feel about it, but I've got a new list coming up. It's going to be good fun. The other thing that happened, so Tuesdays is usually a day where I play video games with Tom's Tsunami and my brother Luke, and we've been playing Rogue Trader, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, which is a CRPG taken from the TTRPG. This one is made by Owlcat Games, which made Pathfinder Kingmaker and Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. And it became very prevalent and obvious that the game is made for a single player, and multiplayer is definitely the afterthought. And so we decided that we will be returning to Baldur's Gate 3, and we will be joined by, hopefully, we'll be joined by my wife, which should be fun. And we've got a big update coming in January for that game, so I'm hoping that in starting a playthrough it won't make the playthrough invalid and we'll have to start again from the beginning, but it might be a good way to just get everyone introduced to the game, since my brother doesn't really play those kinds of games, so that should be fun. And yeah, on Friday I went to my Warhammer Club, and I had not the best experience. I was up against someone who very much was self-centered in their ways, and they were basically, the way that I explained it on Friday to my wife was, there's 2 kinds of cheaters in Warhammer, because it's a tabletop battle game. You've got those that fudge their dice rolls, and this person was not that. But you've got those that fudge their movement. So effectively, all measurements are done with a tape measure or any kind of measuring device, but the most common is a tape measure. It's cheap, easy to get a hand on, and quite accurate. And usually you have your tape measure here, and then you pull out the thing there. And so the measurement from here to where you end up is your movement or whatever you're measuring. With like 0 being there and then 12 or 6 or however much you're measuring. And this person, sorry, I might sneeze. As I was saying before my rude interruption by myself, the measurement happens, and this person was measuring from there all the way to back here to the size of their measuring, and it didn't matter. I still won. I had a better list. I don't even know if I had a better list, just my tactics were just better, but I guess I did also have a better list, just so happens. So I didn't really, like, if it was both, if it was egregious, if it was like, it is measuring to advantage, effectively. Like, there was a point where their leader, which is a very powerful unit, moves 8, and they moved it like 13 towards an objective, and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? But maybe it's my fault for not calling it out, but I just couldn't be bothered to lay a fight, and I was already winning handingly, so I just didn't care. But I'm just like, why play like that? Like, I don't understand why you would go into a casual game. This wasn't even competitive. This was just a casual game, and like just cheat. What do you gain from it? You also lost the battle, so it obviously doesn't help. Just play better. Just skill issue, obviously. But yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't really a fun game. The fact that I went up against, so my list that I'm currently playing is a list that I probably will be taking into the competitive tournament in January. So the fact that I'm doing pretty well overall, and then the fact that I managed to beat someone who was blatantly cheating, I feel like I've got a pretty good list, and it's just really concise and things. So I'm happy in that sense, but it just feels. So hopefully next time that I go, which will probably be Friday. Yeah, Friday I'm fighting Andrew. So we'll see how the list performs against someone who's actually fun to play against and has a decent list building record. And we'll see what happens with that. So fun, and that's what we'll do. But yeah, it was certainly a thing that happened. What else? On Saturday, we went to a board game cafe. My friend Matt came over with his fiance, and we had a friend also. So all 5 of us went to our board game cafe. It was going to be 6, but friend's partner had family or something. I don't know. So all 5 of us went to board game cafe, played a few games. We played Celestia, which is like our go-to. Absolutely love that game. And then we played Colt Express, which is a very fun programming game where basically each player has cards which has actions, and then the turn card basically tells you how many turns each player has. The round card has turns, so, and then each one is done differently. So you might have play a card face up, then a card face down, and then 2 cards in a row, and each player goes around the table, and then when everyone's played their cards, then you flip it over and you go through it in order. So basically none of the actions actually happen until every player's played all of their cards for that round. So it's really interesting because you get times where it's like, okay, well, I want to go like pick up some loot and shoot someone, and then by the time you play your pickup card, someone's already picked it up, so there's nothing left. So you're like, oh, I just wasted that card. Or it was a really, really interesting. I've not played a lot of programming games, but I think this was a really, really fun one. It was very basic to understand. Like it wasn't overly complicated, but because of the way the game works, it was very it was really interesting and very different every time. Like, even though your only actions were like punch, move, shoot kind of thing, it had a lot of diversity and a lot of strategy involved, and I got riddled with bullets basically throughout the game, so that was fun. Yeah, really, really fun time. We had a really good kind of time on Saturday. And then yesterday, Sunday, no D&D. We had our last D&D of the year, but I've been doing something else, and I announced it on my Discord in January 9th, I think I said. Yes, January 9th. I am going to be starting up my D&D again. It's been before I went to America since we last did it. So it's been like over 2 years. So it's been a very long time. And I've learned a lot since doing that. I obviously have my regular Sunday D&D, which has been ongoing for almost as long. So I've learnt a lot. I know what I want to do, and I know better how I like to DM, and also I'm more well versed with high level D&D. And this is a level 12 campaign, which will be heading to level 15. I already have all my players, so if you're interested, sorry. And last year, Wizards of the Coast released the 2024 rules books for the Dungeon Masters and the Player's Handbook, which included a revamp of every single spell. And I didn't like a lot of them. Well, it's not that I don't like the spells specifically. The 2024 handbook has changed a lot of the classes, and other than the Bard and the Monk, I think all of the other classes got pretty shafted, or didn't make enough of a difference that I cared for to update. So we're still going to be playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. However, from discussions that I've had with players and looks at myself, I think the 2024 spells overall are better written, or just better. So I have done, and I'm going to show you now, this is the first time on Update Monday that I'm going to show you something other than my face. Oh. So I've been taking a long time, and as you can see at the bottom, I've got cantrips all the way to level 9 with the spell name, the 2014 version of the spell, and the 2024 version of the spell, and then which version we are going to be using in my campaign, and the class list that uses it. So the idea, and I've done yesterday I did cantrips, level 1 and level 2. So the cantrips, for example, it's got a list of the ones on 2014 and then 2024. As you can see, some of them don't exist in 2024, and this is one of the things that I don't like. So Booming Blade is a really cool spell that like the Eldritch fighter gets to use, the Paladin could use, and things like that. I don't even know if the Paladin can use it actually, but doesn't exist in 2024 because the fighter subclass gets it as a talent or a feat or something in their repertoire rather than it being a spell, and I just don't like that. So if I scroll down, you can see there's a lot of these, and I went through these by hand and I amended them a lot, but there are instances. So for example, Thaumaturgy, I've updated it and I'm like, yeah, we'll use the 24 version because it's just better written, it's a nicer thing, it does things differently, makes it more obvious. So this is like in the 2014 version, you got a bullet point for what it does, but here it's like, oh, well, you've got specific names of what each of them do. They're literally the same, they're pretty much exactly the same, but I just like that this is written better. Have a Thornwhip, for example. There's a difference between 2014 and 2024, where I have decided that the 2014 version is better than the 2024 version. Despite it being probably better written, I feel like this was a better version of it. Can't remember why, but I did. Literally feels the same, just from a crude reading, but hey ho. I don't care. And yeah, this was all the cantrips. Cantrips, it looks like there's a lot. Mate, wait until you get to level 1, and then you got like, oh my god, this is like so many, it just never stops. It's just the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. What the hell, Paul? Why are you doing this to yourself? I'm doing it to myself because I care. This is the issue. But it's also, it's an interesting way for me to look. Oh, this is one that I'll discuss in a sec. It's an interesting way for me to actually get updated with the spells. I actually, and my players will know this, I have a very good repertoire of all the spells. If someone tells me, oh, what spell does this, or what does this spell do, I can kind of tell you what it does. Maybe not exactly, but I'm very good at, I'm able to give you an idea, because, I don't know, it's just rules. I understand and maintain rules really well, and that's why I enjoy Warhammer a lot, and why I have a lot of knowledge with that. And this is a good way for me, because I'm like actively going through the list. I can be like, okay, this is what this spell does, this is what this spell does. Inflict Wounds is one of these spells, So 2014 is you do a melee spell attack, it does 3d8, it does 3d10. High levels, it does 1d10 extra. Very simple, no problem. For whatever reason, in 2024 version, it's a Constitution saving throw, which means it's no longer based on what your melee spell attack is. And it's only 2d10, so it's like, okay, so I do less damage, and they're more likely to save, because Constitution saving throw, like, if you go against a wizard, yeah, they're dead. If you go against a monster, they're going to make it. It's Constitution. A lot of monsters have a lot more of that. And they take half damage on a successful. So technically, you're doing more damage by average, but really you're doing less damage overall. So I personally don't like this, which is why in my campaign we will be using the 2014 version. However, when it comes to things like jump, I very much like the change that they make in 2024, where instead of just being the creature's jump distance is tripled, it's now every 10 feet is 30 feet of jumping. So it's it just works better. It's just a nicer Witcher, and it makes sense. You've also got higher level spell slot usage compared to that you don't. So incredibly arbitrary, I know. I've also, if I go to level 2, specifically changed some things. Specifically one in specific. See, there's a blue there for homebrew. This is when I find a spell that just sucks. So Find Trap, for example, is a spell that sucks across both editions of the game. Because of specifically this last sentence here. This spell merely reveals the trap is present, but not where it is. Why? Why make a spell called Find Traps that doesn't do that? So I homebrewed my own version of the spell, which is what we will be using in my campaign. I've started using a lot more traps in my campaigns, mostly because I found a way that I really like them. It's very much inspired from Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, because of the way that I played through the game and really enjoyed. Oh my god, I found a trap. If I didn't find it, I would walk into it, it would activate, the trap would disappear, but there would be no save involved, there would be no anything, it just happens, and I really like that. So I changed Find Traps to actually be decent, where you cast a spell and then you roll a dice, a d8, and then depending on your dice roll, you find all the traps in a certain area, and then all the traps that are found, you then get a bonus to disarm them. And then as you use a higher level, you get an additional +1 to your dice roll. So if you're casting this at level 2, you'll roll a dice, but if you cast it at level 4, you get a +2, which means you'll at minimum be getting 60 feet vision on your traps. I think this is a good, it's a good spell. It's a very decent spell. It's maybe a little too strong, but it is also it's a spell slot. Like, you're using resources, you should get a reward. It could be the case that I make this less of a bonus. I make it like a +2. It could be a case of I change the distances, but I feel like it's decent. Because right now we're doing just investigation checks, and I both like and dislike that, to be honest. So hey ho, but that's what I've been doing. So I've still got to do level 3 on. As you can see, these are completely blank. Level 3 all the way to level 9. I've got a lot to do, but that's what I'm doing, because I hate myself, but also I love the game so much. So, and I don't know, I just really enjoy doing that. I've got a lot of different D&D maps and other things. I mean, like, if I go back, I'm going to go back to the screen now. Hooray. If I go show you my stuff, I've got an improved loot table, which is I basically just was like, okay, well, all the books, all the tables that are in the Dungeon Master guides, I'm going to just translate them into a thing. So now I've got like all of the horde tables just together of what they look like, all the loot tables all together, and then yeah, I've got them all. So I've got like, oh, well, where do these comes from? They come from Xanathars, Tasha's, Fizban's, and then I've made my own tables. These are actually made by me. They're not from the books, because specifically, like, these items are what's in the Dungeon Master's guide, but they don't include Xanathars, they don't include Tasha's, so I've had to add these in. And then I've got all of these different loot tables that you might want to use. Man, I've yet to use this one, but obviously legendary items, so you're not going to do that. But yeah, so I just enjoy I'm a DM, so tables are my friend. I just love doing that, and that's what my players use, and they've really enjoyed it. At least I've not heard anything bad about them. And then there's an item price. I'm not going to show you every single table I've ever made. I made a lot, but I just feel like it clarifies the details. It makes it more legible, and I understand why it's not like that in like the books, because it's impossible to have a book that lays it out like that for you. But it is what it is. So now I think it is time for me to tell you the big news, really, that happened last week. And I know Tom's will already know about this, and my brother will already know about this, but on Monday, I started like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, well, I started a while ago. Effectively, my computer, very specifically, has remained unchanged since I bought it in 2000, and I want to say 19, but it could have been 18 then I bought it. I can't remember. The only thing that I've added to it is an extra SSD. I got a message earlier this year, just an automatic Windows message saying we are discontinuing Windows 10. You have to upgrade to Windows 11 by October 2025, which is next year. Your processor is out of date, is not the right generation, so you cannot upgrade. So the alternative is buy a PC from us. And I'm like, okay, shut the fuck up. So my intention is to buy a new processor. And then on Monday, so I spoke to like Richard and Michaela on Saturday and was like, oh, when I get my processor, Michaela, it'd be nice if you come over, because Michaela's built a few PCs, or helps Richard build his. So I just want someone with at least some experience when I'm tinkering around, because I don't trust myself around electronics, despite the fact that I Lego all the time and I Warhammer all the time. I don't know, when it comes to electronics, I don't like it. So I spoke, and they were like, yeah, we'll help you do that. On Monday then, I had some time. I went through, I was like, okay, so what kind of processor could I get? What's around? What's the price range? And I looked, and I was like, okay, cool, so this is the kind of processors that are around. I can't just get a processor, though, because can my motherboards support this processor? So I went online, checked what version motherboard I have, and what processor can it get. And it was like, oh, my motherboard's actually one generation out. Like, the type of motherboard that I have could take modern day processors if it was the generation 2 version, and I'm pretty sure I had the generation 1. I still don't really know. It doesn't really matter, and I think everyone knows where this is going. So in upgrading a processor and a motherboard, I'm like, well, I wanted to upgrade my graphics card. I've got a 2070 right now, and I was like, it's time to move on. I'm not that much out of date, but I am getting to a point now where games are coming out with a 2070 as being the minimum requirements. Things like the new Indiana Jones games, which is interesting. And I was like, I might as well upgrade the graphics card. So at that point, 3 components, might as well upgrade the whole PC. So I spoke to Tom's. I was like, what's your opinion? What do you think I should do? And he talked me through it. And as such, I was getting a whole new computer. I spoke to my wife. She said yes, so that's fine. It's got a 4070 Super in it. I've got an AMD Ryzen something in it. I don't really know. Effectively, I'm just getting a whole new PC. And we'll see when it gets delivered. It's currently in processing. So I'm expecting to arrive after Christmas. My computer works fine. It is slow on some things. Some games do have latency and frame rate issues. It's just time. I've had this PC for almost 6 years, maybe. So it's actually really, like, the timing is not terrible. I tend to do this to myself. Like, even this microphone, I've got this Snowball. I've had this for over 10 years and it's working fine. I just tend to buy technology and then never upgrade it because I don't feel the need to. But when it comes to something that you use every day, like, there's wear and tear, there's just, things get slow. I'm not justifying this, I'm just explaining it. I'm very happy with my purchase. Well, I don't know yet, I haven't got it yet, but so I expect that I will be getting a new computer anytime soon. Should be nice. It's going to be very different to the one I've got. But what this will allow me to do is, when I get my new computer, is I get to put this one apart and actually see how it works. I know how it works. I know the theory behind it. I know that it's just like 6 parts wired together. But just excited to do that. And yeah, this one has served me well. It's going to be sad to see it go to an extent. But I'm going to keep the parts and things, see what I do with it. I'm keeping the case for sure. And I might then, in future, just use the case and stuff to power something else. Yeah. So that's the big news. The big news is that I bought a PC. It's concerningly, or not, it's weird. Inflation's gone up everywhere. This new PC that I've bought is going to be cheaper than the previous one I bought. I did do some math afterwards. It is, overall, the price tag is less. But it's also because when I bought this PC, I also bought these monitors and the keyboard and mouse. So there are some things that I did buy in addition to that definitely upped the price. But even then, it's not that much more expensive. It's only like £100 more expensive, which is insane. So it's crazy how the technology has gotten significantly better. Because this isn't just like, oh, I'm upgrading one generation up. I'm upgrading 2 generations up graphics card. And the graphics card costs the same now. The 4070 Super costs the same as my 2070 regular did at the time. And I just find that insane. Yeah, so there we go. Happy days all around. I know Cucumber, my dear friend Michael, has got a new computer as well, or I think it was a new computer setup after his move to Northern Ireland, of which I am very, very happy for. Congratulations, my dear boy. And yeah, just everyone's getting an upgrade. It's all good. Yeah, so that's basically what's happened this week. Next week will be the 30th. It'll be the last Update Monday of the year. I don't think I'm doing anything, which means that there will be an Update Monday. And you can have a good Happy New Year's Update Monday. And I'll let you know what happens. We've got British Gas Man coming today. And then the real fun happens later. So Christmas will be fun. Boxing Day, my brother and his family are coming. So I get to see my nephew. We're probably going to watch Jingle All the Way, which is a tradition we have, and we might be finishing the Dungeons & Dragons board game campaign, which we've been doing over the last 3 years. But that's really fun. Thursday, and that is Thursday. So Friday, I've got Warhammer, hopefully with Andrew. I need to just confirm that is still happening. Saturday, I'm seeing my mother. We're going to go see Hamilton in Cardiff. That's going to be really fun. I really, really, really enjoy Hamilton, so going to see it a third time now. And then finish off the week with Warhammer with Richard, the last Warhammer battle of the year. I'm going to show up my chaos. I've got a cool list. No spoilers. It should be good. It should be fun. I've learnt a lot just through watching battle reports and things where I went wrong. I've also got, the issue is also models generally, like the models that I've got are but the weapon loadouts and everything, it's all good. In terms of gaming, that's what I didn't speak about. Video games. It's gonna be a long Update Monday. I played so many DLC the last few weeks. I finally finished all of the campaigns from the new Warhammer 3 DLC. In order from worst to best. I played them in that order, which is weird. Skulltaker campaign was garbage. I actually really didn't like it, which is interesting because a lot of people really liked it, but I just didn't. I found Skulltaker boring. It's literally just a fest of I need to go find someone to kill and then attack him in combat, kill him, get skulls, rinse, repeat, which, sure, it's just not for me. I just don't like it. I like empire building. That's my favourite part of the Total War franchise across all things. It's not so much the battles. I do like the battles. The battles are very fun. The battles are very spectacular in some occasions. Specific games do the battles really well. Warhammer 3 does them okay, depending on what you're playing. I don't like Khorne from a battle perspective, because it's just there's no. I like the shooty armies. I like the elves. I like the dwarves. I like Kislev. I like the shooty armies. They're fun. Which great DLC with 3 melee oriented armies, but anyway, Skulltaker didn't like. Completed it very quickly because it's very easy. It's not difficult. There's no challenge on it. It's just build my army, upgrade my dude, kill everything, done. Next one, Gorbad Ironclaw. Really fun campaign. Really, really fun campaign. I think I just spoke about this last week. just the variety of army composition that you get means that it's much more fun. And you have to think about it, and it was just really fun calling a war and just devastating the Empire right at the end of the campaign. It was so fun to like reenact. Gorbat Angkor is actually one of my favourite Warhammer characters, which is interesting because no one seems to know who he is, despite the fact that it's because I started playing in 6th edition. In 6th edition, he was the poster boy, and then it became Grimgor Ironhide. But Gorbat Angkor, absolutely love him. Love his model as well. So I was so happy when they introduced him into the game, and the campaign was really, really fun. And finally, Golgfag, this ogre mercenary. The mercenary contracts mechanic is the best mechanic that Creative Assembly have put into a war game like ever. I adore it. I love it so much. The idea that you can pick and choose is like, oh, I'm going to work for the Empire today and like take out the vampire camps, and then you get paid for it. You get some food, and then you're just like upgrading your camps. When your camp's upgraded, you just pack up, go somewhere else, do it again, rinse and repeat. But like your king making, I made the Empire, like the Empire was struggling so fucking hard at the start of the campaign, and then I was like, I'm just going to go pro Empire. So I like beat out all of the Beastmen, I beat out, what's it called, the Nurgle guy, and then I made sure the vampire camps were defeated, and then you just had a really strong Empire, and then I was like, okay, what's next? Okay, well, let's go kick out Norsca, and then the Tomb Kings were like, help us, Clan Moors is attacking, and I'm like, okay, so then I went down to Araby, and then I was like, okay, well, let's just clear this out. So now the Tomb Kings are just there like chilling. It just felt amazing to be able to effectively just go on a piss up around and kill everything whilst getting paid and making people strong, making your own empires without really caring. Really, really good campaign. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm probably going to replay it, honestly, because it's just so fun. I might go like the other side where I try and get like the chaos to win everything. Yeah, really, really fun campaign. Ogres have never felt so good. They really were. I hated ogres when they were originally came out Warhammer 3, which was right at the beginning. I hated Warhammer 3 when it first came out. But the ogres are now in a place where really enjoy them. Yeah. Anyway, that's my review of Omens of Destruction. We'll see what happens next year. Interesting, they did a post, and there's not going to be a new Total War next year, and it'll be announced at the end of the year. We will have our announcements for the next Total War game, which will probably be 2026. So that's interesting, because they've only got Warhammer 3 currently as their live game. Everything else is no longer getting support and no longer getting updates, unless they go back and do updates. It is the 25th year anniversary of Creative Assembly and Total War specifically next year. So it's possible that we might get a really dumb thing like DLC for Rome 2, like we did that one time, where they were like, oh, I know Three Kingdoms has just come out, but here's a Rome 2 DLC. It'd be really funny if they did that. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. Either way, I think Warhammer 3 is in a good position. If you haven't played it yet, it's a good time. Other than that, Stardew Valley. I beat Journey of the Prairie King in Stardew Valley. I got so lucky. I like had a moment where I had so many coins. I had like 50 plus coins just from picking them up, and I was like, oh my god! And that meant that I got to buy like a bunch of the good gun upgrades, which just carried me through, because the damage upgrade is what you need against like anything after level 1, to be honest. So yeah. Anyway. Thanks for watching. I know this was a really long, super long Update Monday, but there was a lot to talk about and a lot of thoughts and a lot of things I wanted to share. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next week. Have a really good Christmas. I hope you've all been very happy people. I hope you've done good. I hope Santa has given you lots of presents. And I will see you next Monday for an end of year message and a review of the channel. Oh, so much has happened this year. Anyway, ta-ra guys.